Greetings all, Frog here. Let's play some Europa Universalis 4. Now, this is a really embarrassing admission for me. You're watching 15008, as I've numbered them. This is the 8th episode of All Belongs to Mother Russia. And I've recorded the entire episode and forgot to record my mic. So I have nothing on this except for the gameplay. I had a choice. I could either skip the gameplay and just talk about it in the next episode, or I'm just going to try and commentate over it. So that's what I'm going to do. It's still god-awful hot in here. I have recorded 9, 10, and 11 cents. I'm not going to try and spoil anything for you, but I have done those, so if I let something slip, I apologize. But what we're going to do here is we're trying to basically get rid of Novgorod. That's our goal. Right, so I have these two units down the bottom. They're the only things that you may have noticed moving, and that is because between 7 and 8, I had started recording and I'd realized that I had made some mistakes. So what we're going to do is the one I already set to go take care of those rebels. It's not going to be a hard problem at all. We will go and take care of them and then worry about attacking Novgorod. So one of the reasons that I had that little bit in between 7 and 8 is because I wanted to change the video settings and just play in 720p and see if that helped my computer performance a little bit. Maybe speed 5 could be a little speedier, but it didn't work. 720p actually recorded fine, but speed 5 wasn't really any faster, and it ruined the UI thing as part of Arumba's mod pack, one of the ones that he's collected together, because it's really optimized for 1080p, which is what I like playing in. I record in 720 basically, so it's not as crisp as I like. And now watching it play back, you know, I've watched some videos on the site. It's not perfectly crystal clear, but it's still pretty good. I would love to record in 1080p, but I just don't think I have the rig for it yet. So that might be, you know, a longer down the road after I make some more spare change maybe with this. I mean, I'm doing this mostly just because I like it. I like content creating. I like playing games, and I like just talking with people and socializing. And I think this is a good way to do all three of those things. Now, as it happens, as you've noticed if you don't have Adblock Plus running, I am monetizing the gameplay videos, and that's just basically just to get some spare change. And whatever spare change I can get out of this, I'll put into making the channel better, either by getting a better computer so I can record pure 1080p and just upload that straight up and not have to rely on YouTube trying to convert it in, because I don't know if they do that or not. I honestly have no idea. But that's what we're doing. So unfortunately, the rebels did take control of that province the day before my army got there. I was so upset. But, you know, so it just means I have to attack them and wait a little bit longer for it to go through, and that's okay. This is obviously not my preferred method of commentary. As you know, you've seen at this point 21 other videos that have gone up, and I comment as I play. That's just how I like to do it. I think it's more my style. But in this one, we're going to do a little bit afterwards. Now, when we start playing another Factorial campaign, so if I ever finish this one and I decide to do something else that's not multiplayer, I may do this for the first, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours of play on Factorial, because with that game, it definitely I can speed up the timer and go. In this game, that's not as important. So right here, I'm looking at Finland to make sure that we're on track for them to love me, because at the time I'm done with attacking Novgorod, I want to integrate Finland and Perm if I can do it, because that will help me grow. Now, granted, the only goal is to form Russia. So really, at this point, I just have to subjugate Novgorod, get the core on Novgorod, and then defend my territory. Just make it to Tech 10. So really, I don't need to expand after this point. But at the same time, if I can eat into Lithuania a little bit, although pulling Lithuania is still a little scary, maybe eat into Kazan, eat into the Golden Horde, something just to help bolster things. And especially if it gets my borders farther from the provinces I need to hold. Like right now, Ryazan is on the border with the Golden Horde. So if the Golden Horde goes in on it, then we're in trouble, right? And we don't want to be in trouble. We want to make sure that all the cores we need will stay safely in Muscovite hands. And I don't anticipate a problem with that, honestly. There's a reason this is considered one of the easiest achievements, because, honestly, Muscovy, with their manpower and their winters, are just too strong. Once we finally subjugate Novgorod, annex Finland and Perm, then it's not that hard, especially if we can get Sweden on our side. If they choose to break free from Denmark, then we can go Western arms trade. So this is me realizing that I've gone, 5 minutes into the video now and had not cored Ryazan or the partner province that I can't recall the name of offhand. So that's a problem. I'm taking a look right now. Will I ever be able to integrate, or excuse me, change the religion of Kazimov? No. Because if I look, my current missionary strength is only 0.4% plus from the Patriarch Authority, and I can go to 2.0. Well, that only would get me, I'd still need 1.4 base missionaries. I'd still have a negative 1.4 base missionary strength. So that's not going to work unless I get an Inquisitor, which I could do, and that's what I'm looking at now. You know, should I get an Inquisitor? So I look, I can't get one yet. Can I get one later? Possibly. It'll take some time. That Diplo rep guy definitely looks juicy, especially if I'm going to integrate Finland and Perm later. We're going to need that. But as I look right here, my Diplo rep is already -3 until 1466, so there's really no rush to get that guy, especially since he's level 2. We don't really want that. So I'm just taking a look at the Horde here. Now I'm coming back to my country, and this is where I see, okay, yeah, my Diplo rep is just garbage. So even if I got the guy, my Diplo rep would only be -1. So that's still bad. The difference between -3 and -1 is not huge. All right, so our truce with Riga has expired, and I sat on that for a minute, not just because of the autosave, but because I was confused. I couldn't remember why I had been fighting Riga, and I hadn't. That was because of Denmark and their stupid little war. So it's good that that's going to be over at this point. So I'm looking at my unrest, I'm looking at my guys, and I decide, you know, let's form some new units, and let's get underneath my force limit. And then I'm going to actually park some guys onto the unrested areas here in just a minute. I can't remember exactly where along this video. And try and just bring that down, because I don't want to deal with more rebels now if I can avoid it. It's not a problem. I mean, obviously, Muscovite manpower is never really an issue. It looks like I got 12,000 right now. That's about half the cap. So, but I do disband those 3 units just because I don't want to keep paying the money for it. You know, I want to try and build up the trade and build it up. So there I doubled, effectively, I doubled my income for the month, so that's very good. I'm taking a look at Perm, and I realize, holy smokes, I haven't been improving relations with these guys at all. They barely don't even like me. Let's change that, because if they go south, right, they might try and break free, and we don't want to do that. It's not really a big concern, 1, because Perm is so weak, and 2, because their desire is not actually that high. But at the same time, you know, if we're going to integrate them, we want to make sure that they like us. So I'm taking a look. Okay, I've got enough for the next. Well, I don't have enough, but what's my next idea? +1 Diplo relation. I don't really need it, right? I'm leading 2 vassals. I've got 2 alliances. The Tiber alliance, I'm really regretting. I probably should have just tried to attack them from the beginning, and I just didn't. So, you know, too bad for that. This is when I notice, you know, I don't notice it yet, but I will notice, I believe, by the end of this video that, I can make some national decisions. So my war exhaustion is high, but I figure in 30 months, that's okay. We'll let it tick down naturally, save the monarch points. Especially since I can't attack Novgorod for 3 years anyway, and that's about how long it's going to take for the war exhaustion to tick down. So I see my 2 rulers. I realize I've got my leader there. I think about, I want to change it, and then realize, no, I can't do that when they're actually on a hostile siege, so I'll just wait. But I do want to make my leader a ruler, so I can, my ruler a general, so I can try and kill him off, because a 3-1-2 is not very good, and I've got a 3-4-5 in the rings, which is what I show right now, which is the same dynasty as Tiber. Unfortunately, Tiber has, their ruler at this point is 16 years old, so he's not going anywhere, alas. So at this point, I'm just kind of taking a look around. Here I notice the Liberty Desire. It's only 23.5. I mean, it's 3 times Finland, but at the same time, it's really not that much of a concern. And I'm going to be bringing them into the fold soon anyway, so it's not a problem. And here we have a plague. So epidemics in the early modern era were far deadlier than wars or even famine. Diseases that with modern medicine are relatively harmless, like smallpox or flu, took heavy toll and blah, blah, blah. We've already seen this one. So I can lose money or lose good produce and gain some autonomy. I decided I didn't want the autonomy. I had over 400 ducats. Let's just get rid of it. And then I think, well, I've got over 400 ducats. Let's build some buildings. Can I build a temple? No, that's Tech 5, so I'm not there yet, but I can build armories. So I'm going to start building some more armories and go. All right, so here we have the Podstya reform. After Muscovites invaded Novgorod in 1471 and Lithuania failed to come to Novgorod's assistance, Novgorod was forced to accept the Khartsin Treaty, which further limited its independence. Ivan III, still wary of uprisings because of what happened to his father, deported many of the citizens of Novgorod. He also replaced leaders of the Novgorodian Church with Russian Orthodox leaders. Lands were taken from the natives and given to cavalrymen in return for military service. And after establishing the reformed land management, called the Promistil system there, he introduced it into Muscovite. By seizing the local nobles called boyars' estates and giving it to his army, he helped bolster and centralize his power and create loyalty in his army and other servants. By 1489, Novgorod was a shell of its former self and now part of the ever-growing Russian state. And this was supposed to happen in 1471 to 1489. It's 1460. So we're ahead of the curve. We knew that it was going to happen. But, Tech 10, you're looking at probably the 1480s, 1490s, if not 1500s. So it's going to be a while. So I look at this, do I want the admin tech and the military tech reduction and fight some rebels? I also gain some morale of armies, that's less important, for 10 years. Or do I want Diplotech cost reduction for 10 years? And so I think this through, and I take a look at the tech and I realize, what do I need the Diplotech for? Honestly, it's to keep vassals in line for the most part. Other countries may like us better, but who cares, right? I'm not really going hard at Diplotech. I'm a little bit behind, but I'm not worried. It's military and admin that I really care about. One, because admin tech 10 is the goal. That's how we get to form Russia. And then two, you just have to stay up on military tech or people are going to try and beat you up. So I take a look around and I say, okay, where is this province? It's up there. And I say, let's move the army up there. And we're just going to leave this out there because it's going to automatically choose the first option. If you don't click something and the timer runs out, it automatically takes the first option, which is what I want. So I'm just going to move the army up there, let the peasants rebel, but I'm going to wait until I'm stationed there so that way I can be the defender, which is a huge bonus in battles like this. And I'm just waiting, just taking a look around at some stuff, seeing, okay, where's where, what do I want to do? And I see, oh, the siege is over, perfect. So instead of moving this unit up from the south, I'll leave you where you are, and I can move the Ustjug unit over to Vologda, and they'll be the defenders. So it's the same idea. I'm not going to click the button yet, but as soon as they're in place, I'll click that button. And now I finally get back to armories. Okay, I've got money. Let's take a look at armories. Where is this going to help? So it's main power. So basically, I find the highest plus number in green, which is obviously our capital, and I just start from there, and I start building. And I build almost as many of these as I can to try and get the highest impact that I can, because one of the strengths of Muscovy is her giant manpower. And that is what we're going to try and build. So, okay, I'm in place. Click the button after the autosave. So I click the button. They rebel. It's no problem. Target practice. I just keep on building armories. That's how unconcerned I am. And really, I'm just waiting. I'm waiting now, just trying to get to the point where Novgorod, it's time for war, and that's in 3 years. So I considered going into another war at this point. I even talked a little bit about it. I did commentate the entire thing. Like, I talked through this whole 20 minutes. I just didn't have the mic set up because, for whatever reason, I wasn't thinking. I've been doing a lot of GeoGuessr, and I record all of GeoGuessr. The audio just goes straight through OBS because it's just the one stream. So I can modify it and do whatever I want to. But as you hear, as you will have heard on Thursday's Throwback Thursday, the Commander Keen episode, I accidentally recorded the mic through OBS, and so the mic and the game soundtrack were both through it. I couldn't process the mic the way I wanted to, and so it sounds, it just sounds bad. I mean, it's not bad. It's okay. It just doesn't sound as good as I want it to sound because I couldn't do as much because I'd affect the game sound as well as the voice. As it is, I had to take out this crackle. There was an incredibly annoying crackle that you'll not hear much of, thankfully, but it does make things quieter. So when I recorded this series and the Factorial series, and ideally the Throwback Thursday series, anything that has game audio, I record the commentary in Audacity and let the game audio be picked up by OBS. And so that gives me two different streams, and it's fine. Now, OBS, eventually, they say they're going to have separate track outputs for the different inputs. It's just not there yet. It might be there in the Windows version. As a reminder, I do record everything in Linux. And that's my choice. So every game I play will always be on Linux. I'm not going to record on Windows, which is why I'm so frustrated about Banished, but that's neither here nor there. This is where I decide, oh, look, I've got national decisions that have been bugging me forever. We should maybe take some of them. When I look at the unrest and I debate, do I really want to increase the unrest or not? And I decide at the end that, yes, it's worth it for one of them, but not the other. I don't really care about the taxes, but I'm interested in the military or missionary strength because once I finally get enough patriarch authority, then I can finally convert Kasimov, which is the problem because my tolerance of heretics is okay, but my tolerance of heathens is not. So I do that, but I don't do the taxes. Now, should I have done the taxes? Yes. And thinking back on it, I may actually go and check them out again. So this is me looking at what do I need to form Russia. And that basically at this point it's just admin tech 10 and attacking Novgorod. Ryazan is being cored as we speak, so that won't be an issue. And I'm just looking, okay, how long does it take? Well, I need 663 power per level, and I don't gain it a lot. So it's at this point that I decide I want to focus on admin tech. I just can't change my focus yet. Unfortunately, I focused on Diplo because I wanted to annex those people, and I still want to annex. It's a good choice. It's still something I want to do. And here I'm pointing at, okay, do I full annex Novgorod when I attack them, or do I feed some to Finland and Diplo annex Finland later? And I'm thinking, well, I should be able to have coring distance on everything, because that strait there's no strait connecting the two, but that water is definitely within colonial range. So I should be able to easily core the entirety of Novgorod if I want to go that route. And I decided at this point, well, I'll wait until the peace deal and take a look. And decide at that point. So Kazan and Golden Horde are attacking each other. This would have been a good opportunity to sneak in, like I did with the Golden Horde, to try and take some land from Kazan. The only problem with that is it would have been, see, this is when I'm looking at that, it's not in my best interest. One, because Timurids. The Timurids could easily get access through Uzbek and then come through and roll me. Now, they hadn't done that with the Golden Horde, and I don't know why. If it's because maybe they can't easily get through Uzbek, or if just they felt, it wasn't really necessary. Well, my army's large enough compared to Kazan, they'd probably find it necessary, and they might come and beat me up. So I didn't want to do that. I might look at it later, but it's not right now. Golden Horde will be the target, and we have peace until 67 anyway. So here's our first core province. Tula was the other one. Ryazan is soon to follow. And once we get those, then we'll be good. I do notice that Poland is allied with Aragon, which I found to be interesting. And they've got the royal marriage, so it's looking like Aragon's not in the PU with Naples, or maybe they are. I mean, I didn't even look, but I just found that to be interesting. And this is where I'm like, Denmark, you better not start a war with England or Scotland, and because I don't want to get into that war. That would really make me upset. I'm trying to get into a war with Novgorod here, and I don't want to deal with your problems. And I noticed that Sweden and Norway are still part of the Union, and that's that. So, going back to the recording issues, I'm committed to Linux. My main desktop is a Linux machine. This is where I say, oh, Sweden is still friendly. Maybe they would like us. Let's improve relations and see what happens. So that's what I do. I figure Denmark is on the way out. They're not as big of a... If Sweden breaks free, Denmark is useless. I'm basically maxed out with opinion on Denmark anyway, so let's just go for Sweden. Then this is where I start, because why not? I'm just checking out their situation to make sure that things aren't going to go too bad for me if I do this. They have reconquest on me, obviously, because of the Finnish lands, but I'm not that worried about it. I'm committed to Linux, and the OBS version of Linux is not as full-featured as the Windows version of OBS yet. They're working on it. It's I could do a lot. I have profiles set up, so I can do one-click transfers when I want to do Factorio versus EU4 versus some of my browser stuff, which is very nice. The one thing I wish was on it that's not is there's no global hotkey for recording on Linux yet. I'm running 0.9.1, I think. I can actually switch over to it because that's still on in the background. Yeah, 0.9.1. And it doesn't have universal record buttons yet, which that would make my job so much easier, because right now I have to do a countdown in Audacity, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, click, and then I click the record button in OBS on the click, and then I have the 5-second delay to collect the noise sound, and then it would be so much easier if there were a universal key that I could be in Audacity and go, or if Audacity had a universal key. They've got a hotkey for recording, but it's not a system hotkey, it's just within Audacity. So if I'm not in Audacity, I can't hit the button. So like right now, I'm watching this through Video Viewer, and if I were to click the record start or stop button, or the hotkey for it, it won't work, which is kind of annoying, but so it is. So at this point, I am just taking a look here, just a last minute, see what Denmark is up to. Want to make sure that they're not going to try any funny business. If you heard my keyboard there for seconds, because I'm coming out of full screen mode, because we are getting to the point where it is close. And I will tell you, if you watch my videos at 720p and you have a screen size that's 720p, they look great. It's just, I really would love to record at 1080p. we'll work on that. So this is where I take a look and realize that's pretty much all I have. So I apologize for this weird format. I hope you enjoyed it anyway. Click like if you did. Consider subscribing to the channel to stay updated on all of our business, because I'm excited to grow it. You know, I've got some subscribers now, and that are not my friends, which is a nice start. You know, if more of my friends help too, that's great. But you know, there it is. So thank you again for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. This is where me talking about I probably want to go after the Golden Horde next. And, you know, there's just 20 seconds left in the video. So I'm just going to let it go. This is my outro. I'm pretty sure that's what I'm talking about right now, but that's all. So again, like, subscribe. Thank you to Geek and Sundry for that. And until next time, cheers.